In the middle of the bustling market, a skinny and sickly horse with dull eyes filled with deep sadness made Anna choke with heartache. "How much for that horse?" Anna asked, her voice steady despite the lump in her throat. The man tending the pen, a stout fellow with a messy mustache, chuckled derisively. "If you want that bag of bones, $10 will do it," he said with disappointment. "Nobody wants it. I'm selling it just to get rid of it." Anna's eyes never left the horse. Its coat, once sleek, was dull and marred with scars. Its head hung low, but its eyes held something she couldn't ignore. Sorrow mixed with resignation, and beneath it all, a faint flicker of hope. "What happened to him?" Anna pressed. "They say he was a champion once, years ago," the man replied with a shrug. "But look at him now. Too old to race, too scared to work." Her breath caught as she stared at the animal. The horse reminded her of her father. Mitch, carving a wooden horse, his voice soft but certain. Varek was strong but proud. Victor didn't understand him. You can't push a horse like that too hard, or it'll break. But if you listen, he'll give you everything. Anna's chest tightened. Could this truly be Varek? She had no doubt. The scars, the color, the faint tilt of his head, everything aligned. Without hesitation, she reached into her pocket and pulled out the money she had. It wasn't enough. Desperate, she turned to the seller and pleaded, "I don't have the full amount now, but I can come back with the rest. Please, let me take him." The man sighed, visibly impatient, but relented. "Fine, but make it quick. I don't have time for charity cases." Anna carefully led the horse out, using a makeshift rope as a bridle. As she stroked its neck gently, she whispered, "I'll call you Coco." To endure so much and still be here, that takes a strong spirit. As Anna guided Coco through the crowded fairgrounds, whispers followed her. "Why waste money on that old nag?" Anna ignored them, her focus entirely on Coco. The horse stumbled slightly, and Anna instinctively reached out to steady him. They were a pair, one worn down by life, the other broken by mistreatment, but both unwilling to give up. By the time they reached her small cottage, the sun had dipped behind the mountains, casting a warm orange glow. Anna tied Coco to a post outside and fetched water and a blanket. As the horse drank, she gently ran her hands over his scars. "You're not broken, Coco," she murmured. "You just need someone to believe in you again." She hopes that the horse will be like her, going through many hardships, but not giving up. At 22, she had neither the luxury nor the time to feel young. Life had been unkind since her father, Mitch, passed away, followed shortly by her mother. The weight of the family's debts had fallen squarely on her shoulders. Each morning, Anna rose before the sun, certain the day ahead held nothing but back-breaking work and just enough money to scrape by. Even her job at Mr. Roberts' ranch rarely provided a full meal or the means to fix the tin roof of her small home, which threatened to collapse with every passing storm. Nights often found her staring at the starry sky from her tiny porch, wondering if life would always be this harsh. Yet, in the quiet hours of solitude, Anna found a strange comfort in the stories her father used to tell. Mitch, a man of noble soul, had been a legend in their small town, known for his skill with horses and unwavering integrity. But the memory of her father, while comforting, often brought pain. Grief didn't pay debts or fill an empty stomach. The day she found Coco, though, was different. For the first time in years, Anna felt something stir, a hope as fragile and battered as the horse itself. The next morning, as Anna opened the door, she saw Coco standing still, his head drooping, eyes half closed. The food she had left untouched lay at his feet. "Well, looks like we've got a long road ahead of us," she murmured, stepping toward him slowly, careful not to make any sudden moves. The horse flinched, taking a step back, his body tense, as if bracing for something bad. Anna stopped, raising her hands gently. "I'm not going to hurt you, Coco," she said softly. "I promise." That moment made her realize how much work lay ahead. It wasn't just about feeding him or providing a safe place to stay. Coco was broken in ways that went beyond the physical. Healing him would require more than just basic care. Over the next few days, Anna observed him closely, paying attention to every movement and reaction. In her spare time, she scoured the town library for old books on horse care, even though most of them were tattered and hard to read. She also sought advice from Mr. Theodore, a retired veterinarian who lived on the outskirts of town. "That horse you brought home, the one everyone says is a lost cause?" Mr. Theodore asked, adjusting his glasses. "Yes, that one," Anna replied, ignoring his skepticism. "I need to know how I can help him. I don't want him to live in fear." Mr. Theodore sighed, settling back into his creaky wooden chair. "A horse like that doesn't just have scars on its body. It's got them on its soul, too. It's going to take time, patience, and, well, more time." Though his words were discouraging, they strengthened Anna's resolve. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she wasn't going to give up. One afternoon, while Anna was cleaning the enclosure, something happened that stopped her in her tracks. She felt a soft nudge on her shoulder and turned to see Coco standing behind her, his muzzle extended toward her. For the first time, he had chosen to approach her willingly. "So, you're not so afraid anymore, huh?" she said, unable to hide her smile. Coco let out a quiet snort, almost as if he were answering her. Slowly, Anna reached out and touched his neck. The warmth of his coat beneath her hand was indescribable. It was a breakthrough. From that day on, things began to change. Coco remained cautious, but started eating regularly and showed fewer signs of fear. Anna felt as though she was piecing together something that had been shattered long ago. One afternoon, while Anna was buying grain at the local store, she overheard two older men speaking in hushed tones. Though they tried to be discreet, the name Victor immediately caught her attention. "Do you remember that jockey?" asked one, adjusting his hat. "Victor, the one who ruined his own horse during the race against Mitch," the other replied with disapproval. "How could I forget? They say the horse was never the same after that." Curious, Anna approached them cautiously. "Excuse me for interrupting, but what do you know about that story? About Victor and his horse?" The men exchanged surprised glances before one decided to speak. "If you're Mitch's daughter, you probably already know part of it. It was years ago, but people here remember it like it happened yesterday. Your father and Victor were rivals, though as different as night and day." That night, their words lingered in Anna's mind. Determined to learn more, she visited Mrs. Clara, one of the village elders, and a witness to many of Mitch's legendary races. Mrs. Clara lived in a small, weathered house surrounded by potted flowers. She welcomed Anna with a warm smile and a curious look. "Anna, what brings you here, dear?" "I want to know more about my father, Mrs. Clara, about Victor and his horse." The old woman sighed deeply, as though unearthing memories buried for years. "Ah, yes, Varric. That was his name before. A magnificent horse, strong like few others. But Victor, he never appreciated him." Anna sat beside her, listening intently. "Your father and Victor were rivals, but they were nothing alike. Mitch raced with heart, always caring for his horse. Victor, on the other hand, only cared about winning, no matter the cost. The race everyone remembers was the one that ended Varric's career, or as you call him now, Coco." Mrs. Clara paused, her gaze lost in the past. "That day, Victor pushed Varric to his absolute limit, forcing him to run until he couldn't anymore. When your father crossed the finish line first, Victor was furious. He didn't blame his ambition or lack of care. He blamed the poor horse." Anna clenched her hands, a mixture of sadness and anger rising within her. "What happened after that?" He sold Varric not long after, treating him like a broken object with no value. Many of us stopped respecting him as a jockey that day. Victor never understood that you can't win everything by force. His ambition destroyed him, and Varric paid the price. As Anna walked home, the story replayed in her mind. She now understood why Coco was so fearful, why his body bore scars both seen and unseen. Reaching the corral, she found him standing quietly under the starry sky, as though reflecting on something too. "Coco," she whispered as she approached him slowly, "I understand now why you are the way you are. But I promise you this, I won't abandon you like he did." Coco turned his head toward her, his dark eyes shining in the moonlight. Anna extended her hand and gently touched his neck. "Your story doesn't end there, not as long as you're with me." In the days that followed, Anna and Coco grew closer. Though the village gossip continued, Anna no longer let it weigh her down. To her, Coco was more than a horse. He was a symbol of resilience, second chances, and everything her father had stood for. One afternoon, as the sun bathed the corral in golden light, Anna worked on repairing a fence damaged in the last storm. Though tired, she felt a sense of calm. Each day spent with Coco was a small victory, a reminder that her efforts were worthwhile. Her peace shattered when the sound of an old truck echoed nearby. Looking up, she saw a dusty vehicle pull up in front of her property. A man stepped out, his hat perfectly positioned, his steps confident, his expression a mix of arrogance and calculation. "Good afternoon," he said, his tone far from friendly. Anna put down her hammer and wiped her hands on her apron before replying, "Afternoon. Can I help you?" The man smirked faintly, his eyes cold. "My name is Victor. Maybe you've heard of me." The name hit Anna like a thunderclap. She had heard it countless times, always tied to her father's legacy, and now to Coco. "Yes, I've heard your name," she replied cautiously, striving to remain calm. "But I don't understand what brings you here." Victor stepped closer, his gaze wandering to the corral where Coco stood, his head raised curiously. "I came to reclaim something that belongs to me." A chill ran down Anna's spine, though she refused to show it. "I don't know what you're talking about." "I'm talking about that horse," Victor said, motioning casually toward Coco. "He's mine, and I've come to take him back." Anna clenched her fists, anger rising like a tide. "Coco isn't yours. I bought him at an auction months ago. If he abandoned the horse years ago, he has no right to claim it now," Anna said firmly, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. Victor let out a low, mocking laugh, his expression dripping with disdain. "Ah, you poor girl. You clearly don't understand how things work. I have the papers proving that horse is still mine. Sure, I made the mistake of selling him to someone too naive to handle legalities, but those documents never officially changed hands. Legally, Coco is still mine." Anna stared at him, her disbelief evident. She knew the auction where she'd bought Coco hadn't been entirely legitimate, but she never imagined it would come back to haunt her. "So, what do you want from me?" she asked, her tone firm, even as her pulse quickened. Victor stepped closer, a smirk tugging at the corners of his mouth. "I want my horse back, and if you're not willing to hand him over, I have connections. People who can make your life very difficult. What's it going to be, Anna? Cooperation or a fight?" Her name on his lips startled her. "How do you know who I am?" Victor smiled again, this time with a blend of malice and triumph. "When I heard my old horse was in the hands of some young woman in this town, I did my research. Imagine my surprise when I found out you're Mitch's daughter." A lump formed in Anna's throat, but she kept her composure. "And what does that have to do with this?" she asked. Victor's voice turned sharp, laced with bitterness. "Everything. Your father humiliated me, destroyed everything I built in my career. I never got the chance to make him pay, but now I have an opportunity to right that wrong. I don't just want my horse back. I want to see you fail, just like your father made me fail." Victor's words struck hard, but Anna stood tall. "My father won because you failed to care for your horse. That wasn't his fault, nor mine. If you think you can scare me, you're wrong." Victor handed her an envelope. "These are the legal papers. If you don't return the horse within a week, I'll see you in court. Good luck, little girl." Anna watched him leave, the weight of the envelope in her hands almost unbearable. Coco stood by the corral, his eyes reflecting concern. Anna approached, placing a comforting hand on his neck. "I won't let him take you," she whispered. "I'll fight for you and everything you mean to me." That night, sleep eluded her. The envelope on her table was a constant reminder of the uphill battle ahead. As dawn broke, she resolved to fight, knowing this was about more than just a horse. It was about standing her ground and honoring the values her father had instilled in her. She spent the morning tending to the ranch as usual, but when she returned home, the town's gossip reached her door. Mrs. Clara and a few others shared whispers of Victor's claims, casting doubts over Coco's ownership. While Anna appreciated Mrs. Clara's defense, she knew she needed stronger support. Determined, Anna sought help from Mr. Johnson, a lawyer in the next town. After hearing her story, he admitted the case was tricky. If Victor can prove ownership, he has a case. But if we show abandonment, it might shift in your favor. "How much will it cost?" Anna asked, bracing herself for the answer. "That depends on how long it takes," Mr. Johnson replied cautiously. "But it won't be cheap." Anna nodded, knowing full well she couldn't afford it. "We'll do whatever we can," she said firmly. The following days were fraught with tension. Victor, realizing Anna wouldn't back down, escalated his efforts. He hired men to linger near her property, intimidating not only Anna, but the few neighbors brave enough to support her. One evening, Anna discovered Coco's corral damaged, its wooden beams splintered and broken. Though Coco remained unharmed, the message was clear. She wasn't safe, even in her own home. Amid the turmoil, there was a glimmer of hope. Coco's story began to attract attention beyond the village. A local animal welfare organization reached out to Anna. "We've heard about your struggle," Ms. Harper said over the phone. "We want to help. Victor might have money and connections, but we have something more valuable, evidence of his past mistreatment of animals." Hope surged through Anna, even as she knew the road ahead would be long. Having someone on her side made her feel less alone. That afternoon, as the first heavy drops fell, quickly escalating into a relentless downpour, Anna was busy tying down tarps to protect sacks of grain. "Anna, we need to move faster," shouted Mr. Robert from across the barn. "I'm on it," she called back, her hands working swiftly. But an uneasy feeling gnawed at her. Each crash of thunder brought her thoughts back to Coco's corral. She reassured herself it was secure, yet the sense of foreboding lingered. The storm intensified, turning creeks into raging streams and driving families to evacuate their homes. Amid the chaos, someone approached Anna with troubling news. "Anna, someone was near your corral this morning." Her heart skipped a beat. "Who? What did you see?" she demanded. "I'm not sure, but I saw a black truck. I think it was Victor's," the man replied, visibly worried. Fear and anger flared within Anna. Without hesitation, she bolted toward her property, ignoring the shouts urging her to stay put. By the time she reached the corral, the water was up to her knees, and the wind pushed against her every step. She froze at the sight of a padlock, one she didn't recognize, securing the gate. Inside, Coco pawed at the flooded ground, his breaths heavy with panic. "Coco, it's going to be okay," Anna shouted, her voice trembling as she frantically searched for something to break the lock. Rain lashed against her face, blurring her vision, Grabbing a large rock, she struck the metal repeatedly, desperation driving her efforts. The lock finally gave way, and she flung the gate open. Coco stood frozen, paralyzed by fear. "Come on, Coco! You have to move!" she pleaded, her voice cracking. Slowly, she stepped closer, extending her hand toward his neck. Her voice softened, steady, despite the chaos. "Trust me," she whispered, her breath labored. "I won't leave you." As if understanding her words, Coco took a tentative step forward, then another, until he finally followed her out of the corral and to higher ground. Exhausted, Anna collapsed to her knees. Coco remained by her side, lowering his head as if shielding her from the storm. From a distance, a small crowd of villagers had gathered, watching the dramatic rescue. Among them was Mrs. Clara, tears streaming down her face. "That girl's braver than all of us combined," someone murmured. "I can't believe Victor would stoop so low," another said. Word of Anna's heroic act and Victor's cruelty spread quickly through the village. As the storm began to subside, Anna guided Coco back to the corral, now waterlogged and muddied. Despite the chaos, the horse appeared calm, as if the ordeal had strengthened their bond. While Anna carefully cleaned his legs and dried him with an old blanket, her mind replayed the recent events. "Today, you showed me you trust me," she whispered, stroking his neck gently. "I promise, I'll never stop fighting for you." One morning, an unexpected visitor arrived. Ms. Harper, from the Animal Protection Organization, entered Anna's modest kitchen with a determined look and a portfolio full of documents. "We've investigated Victor's history," she began, as they sat at the wooden table. "Not only is there evidence he abandoned Coco, but we've uncovered previous cases of abuse involving other horses. These accounts could be pivotal for your case." Anna's hands trembled as she took the documents. "This is a strong start," Ms. Harper continued, "but we'll need more. Testimonies from those who witnessed how Victor treated Coco, proof of your care, and the community's support will be crucial." Anna nodded, feeling hope ignite within her. She wasn't alone in this fight. Over the following weeks, she worked tirelessly to gather the necessary evidence. She visited Mr. Theodore, the retired veterinarian, who confirmed Coco's dire condition when he first saw him years ago, before the auction. She also spoke to neighbors who, hesitant at first, began to recall the mistreatment they had witnessed. "I remember him whipping that poor horse during training," an older man admitted. "At the time, we thought it was just part of racing, but now I see it was wrong. He always called the animal useless," added Mrs. Clara, sadness evident in her voice. "But Coco just needed someone who understood him." The day of the trial arrived, heavy with tension. Victor, exuding his usual arrogance, entered flanked by a polished lawyer and an air of superiority. Anna, on the other hand, stood resolute with Ms. Harper and a few supportive neighbors by her side. When the judge called for testimonies, Anna rose, her hands clenched, but her voice steady. She recounted how she had found Coco, his deteriorated state, and the care she had provided to restore his trust. One by one, the witnesses spoke. Mr. Theodore detailed the physical and emotional scars Coco bore. Neighbors described Victor's abusive behavior, while the organization presented records of similar cases. Victor attempted to defend himself, arguing that the horse had always belonged to him, and any perceived mistreatment was merely part of necessary training. Yet the evidence against him was overwhelming, and his dismissive attitude worked against him. Finally, the judge delivered the verdict. Based on the evidence presented, it is clear that Mr. Victor not only abandoned the horse in question, but also engaged in abusive practices that cannot be condoned. Legal ownership of the horse will be transferred to Miss Anna, who has demonstrated her commitment and responsibility as a caretaker. Furthermore, Mr. Victor is barred from participating in any activities involving racing or animal ownership. Relief washed over Anna like a wave. She had won. Coco was officially hers, and Victor could no longer use his influence to threaten her. Victor's defeat was more than a blow to his reputation. It crushed his pride. Rumors spread that he had moved to the city, searching for a place where his name might still hold value. But in the town, his story became a cautionary tale of unchecked ambition and disregard for both people and animals. The once divided community now seemed transformed, its landscape reshaped by Anna's hard-fought victory in court. Yet for Anna, the trial's end marked not a conclusion, but the beginning of a greater journey. Watching Coco gallop freely through the open fields, Anna knew their story wasn't over. With support from Ms. Harper and the generosity of her neighbors, she made a bold decision to turn her small plot of land into a sanctuary for abandoned and mistreated horses. The early days were grueling. The shelter's construction required far more time and money than Anna had anticipated. But she wasn't alone. Mr. Theodore lent his expertise as a retired veterinarian, while Mrs. Clara rallied the local women to organize fundraisers. Even the town's children joined in, painting fences and carrying supplies. "This is more than just a shelter, Anna," Mrs. Clara said one afternoon as they hammered the last boards into place. "It's a lesson for all of us on what it means to care for what truly matters." Anna smiled, deeply moved. "I couldn't have done this without you all," she said. "But the most important thing is that no animal will ever have to endure what Coco went through." The shelter opened on a bright, sunny day with an improvised ceremony attended by nearly the entire town. In a brief but heartfelt speech, Anna shared how her bond with Coco had changed her life and how she hoped the sanctuary would offer the same chance to others. "Every horse that comes here will have a story," she said, addressing the crowd. "Some will bear visible scars, others wounds we can't see. But every one of them deserves the chance to heal and trust again." Her words resonated deeply with those gathered, many of whom had witnessed Coco's transformation from a broken animal to a symbol of resilience. One special day, Anna took Coco to the wide open fields that bordered the town, a place her father Mitch had once used to train his horses. It was also where she had spent countless childhood afternoons dreaming of a brighter future. As she released the reins, she watched Coco take off, his hooves pounding the earth with strength and grace. Each stride seemed a celebration of his newfound freedom. Standing at a distance, Anna watched as the sun stretched her shadow across the grass. For the first time in years, she wasn't dwelling on what she had lost, but marveling at what she had gained: a new family and the horses she cared for, a clear purpose, and the knowledge that she was walking in her father's footsteps. Wow, what a powerful story, right? Anna's determination to give Coco a second chance speaks to the strength of the human spirit when faced with adversity. And Coco's transformation shows us that even the deepest wounds, whether physical or emotional, can heal with kindness and patience. It's a beautiful message, but it's also a call to action. Animal neglect and abuse are very real problems. Coco's story might not have happened, but similar stories unfold every day. If you ever see an animal in need, remember that your actions, no matter how small, can make a huge difference. What about you? How did this story make you feel? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And if this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to help spread its message. Until next time, stay kind and take care.